One. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Walking Purpose. This is episode 24. For anyone that's new, Walking Purpose is all about men around the world talking about mental health, talking about growth, talking about breaking the stigma that men can't talk about their emotions, that men can't express their feelings. We'll eliminate the fact that men speaking on mental health, men speaking on their feelings is a weak emotion. Not true. Here, this is a comfortable space. It's a safe space for men all around the world talking about growth, ultimate mental health. Walking Purpose podcast is on every Sunday on all major platforms. Also, you get a visual episode on YouTube. That way you can see our faces. You can see us smile sometimes. You know, a lot of times you hear the serious, oh man, serious all the time. Sometimes we laugh. Like you're smiling right now. So I'm here to interview John Foley. Feel free to introduce yourself, sir, and what you got going on currently.
Hey, Craig. Thanks for having me on. Let's see a little bit about myself. 18 years in the military.
Okay.
Wow, time's gone gone by fast.
Yeah.
Seen a bunch of things. I had the gift to live in Japan and Germany and go to some other countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. And as I come to the end of my my military time and transition into life.
Mhm.
I've picked up a couple of things. I want to say a lot of things because I think it's a little arrogant, but a couple of things that I've definitely failed a lot. And so I just want to pass on some of the things that I've learned to other guys and kind of what you said in your opening, examine modern masculinity, right? We don't always have to have the answers. It's okay to be vulnerable and share your thoughts and feelings. And that's what I'm here to do, to have a conversation just like yourself.
That's awesome because it's always cool to be vulnerable. Like one thing I like is the fact I can learn something. You can have a new perspective. Oh, I didn't know that. So it's always good to learn something new. It's a lot of people think, oh, I know everything. No, it's not the case. The great thing about life is we continue to learn and learn pretty much. Speaking of learning, like 2020 has been like, man, 2020 can be a movie on sci-fi pretty much. With things
Tell me about it.
Going on. What's your current mindset of 2020 pretty much currently?
So 2020 has been a rough go, but it's been a journey. It's been a journey of growth. I like to call it one of those EKGs, like up and down, trending upwards.
Yeah.
It's given me a lot of thought. Part of my mental health journey. I don't know whether it was Iraq or Afghanistan or the abrupt passing of my oldest brother, but I've had bouts with PTSD. And so as a result, being a guy, you're like, oh, I got this, I'll just work out more, or I'm going to run more, or I'll work harder. And all those things didn't work for me. And so what I've had to do is come to the realization that I need help and, got help professionally. But also I ran into a guy, Russell Creed. He's one of the executive coaches, and he taught me a couple of things I want to share with you guys. I don't know if this is time or later, but two things. The first thing, which I think is most important, is the four failures of blessing, or four blessings of failure. Sorry about that. Learning, redirection, reflection, and the setup. There's always a comeback.
Yeah.
So there's always a comeback. So he has been instrumental in kind of just attacking what your beliefs are, and based on those beliefs, making positive decisions, powerful decisions, and then taking action. So it's been pretty good for me. Yeah.
I like that. Pretty much like a setback is always a major setup for a major comeback. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And my thing is I'm just trying to learn to fail better, Craig. Like 100%. So I just spent a year in Saudi Arabia. I came back newly divorced, just recently moved to St. Louis, and I had some work to do. I had some work to repair with my kids. I had some work to set up shop here, meet some friends. I had some work, to build a community and focusing on a new job. So, all that change is good, and it was right, but it definitely isn't easy.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Any great journey is never easy, and that's something that we're constantly learning in life, pretty much. I feel this about 2020 has been like a year where it's like had to pause and just think for a second. Like, look, why everybody's going crazy? This is happening. This happened. This happened. It's still 2020 can still be a year where you can find a blessing. Pretty much, there's always that a silver lining, even in the midst of unfortunate what's going on right now. But it's still a way to find victory in some kind of way, even if it's the small victories. Pretty much, like a lot of people are finding purpose right now. So I'm one of them. Before the pandemic, I'm working 12, 13 hours. Just have that moment to sit down and to slow down. Like, I'm talking to God, like, what I want to do, what I want to do. I was like, find your purpose. Find your purpose. I'm like, I'm literally a walking purpose. So it's just like, so yeah, understand that,
Well, and kind of what you said, talking to people and like to me and don't, I don't want to say this and people take it like, oh, that's him every day. I do think gratitude gives you energy, like either helping people out or, talking with people, and kind of like what you're doing with this podcast, share some of the things you learn and talk about, guys and emotions and vulnerability, which is something that is slowly being talked about, but not much at all. But I mean, that to me, at least has given me energy. And it seems like, with your podcast and what you're putting out, especially on social media, seems like you're doing the same. So, I mean, I think that's a powerful thing, especially in these times where some people are stuck indoors all day, teleworking, or, can't leave their whatever. And they're just, people are meant to socialize, be with other people. So it's tough.
Yeah, it's cool to meet different people, saying this to make those new connections. I think a lot of times us as creators, just any kind of form of fashion, we kind of like, why people don't support me? And then you realize you meet strangers and they're attached to your purpose.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's like, you got to find your tribe. You got to find your tribe.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in the beginning, you're like, oh, this is scary. Taking that first step, you're like, oh my goodness. And then you're like, oh, it's not that bad. Okay, put both feet in the water. So just taking that first step. Just people like yourself, and we've been chatting back and forth for the past 3 weeks or so.
I know you have patience. Deal with me, patience.
Nah, you're fine, buddy. You're fine. So, speaking of patience, our journey in life it take a lot of patience to go through what we go through, pretty much.
Right.
And this leads to my next question. Have you ever faced a major setback in life, whether it's depression, whether it's suicide, any kind of setback where you're telling your story pretty much?
Yeah. So if you want to really be blunt, so back in 2014, my oldest brother was reporting in Syria, and he was captured and killed by ISIS. And it was quite public. And, I just kind of went into a dark hole. At the same time, my marriage started to deteriorate, and I'll be the first one to say I was a big factor in that. It was a really dark place, Greg, 100% dark place. And so slowly from that point, regardless of 2020, I've been digging my way out, digging my way out, and and just trying to find ways to find evidence that I'm making progress, because there's so many different ways you can find evidence, like like one month or like, oh, I saved $500 or $1,000. I don't know. That to me is a win. Celebrate those small wins.
Yes.
And then you have this flywheel, and you just start, or a bike, and you just start getting the wheels to get going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's all about. Micro steps, micro progressions. At least that's what it's been about for me. Yeah.
Agree. Anything as far as like a setback or a challenge in life or it's depression. I experienced depression 11 years ago. So I realized I agree with
Oh
you.
wow.
Taking those small victories. Like last time,
Mm-hmm.
it was hard for me to get out the house. It be
Yeah, I
crying.
do.
You're like, okay, this is the fifth attempt. Okay, all right. And back then it wasn't. It's like you just said earlier. It's kind of like it's just now where men are starting to speak out more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So back then it was a lot harder just to even to
Huh.
admit that you're
Oh,
in your
I
feelings.
couldn't imagine.
Yeah,
I
yeah. So you gotta be
couldn't
like,
imagine.
yeah, yeah. Like, why are your eyes red? You can't even do that as a man.
No, you can't. What's funny though is it's like I think I was just kind of looking around, just kind of prepping for talking with you,
Okay.
and I was looking at different hashtags, right?
Mhm.
And I don't want to bash on one gender or not, but to me it's just the way it is. When you look at like coach, you look at personal development, you look at yoga, you look at mindfulness, you look at mindset. It's dominated by the ladies. It is dominated by the ladies, and so I think what you're doing and getting that message out there um, is key. And even when I went and I searched men's mental health, it's
Mhm.
largely dominated by Europe and Australia.
Notice
And
that too.
so yeah, and so I would argue in my very brief research, I would argue that as Americans, we got a ways to go. We got a
Yeah,
ways to go. So
agreed. Because when I first started, yeah, the beginning stages of doing a podcast and doing this, so I started
uh-huh.
researching, and a lot of stuff came from UK first.
Oh nice.
Like you said, brief research, people.
Yeah. No,
Research.
it's same for me. Same for me, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then I started to reach out to like guys like Men's Talk and that type of stuff, which kind of helped me to get to that platform. I was like, Americans need this. It's
Yeah.
just like I said, us as the people, us as men, we need this. Like we need that connection, that we need that brotherhood to speak to one another. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of tension going on. It's just what's going on. It's like, oh, because he don't look like me, I don't want to talk to him now. We need that brotherhood. We need that man say,
Yeah.
I got you, brother. We need that.
And all that, but that community and not to be polarized, but the community is you know at any one of those times that I was talking about previous, I was like, oh, I'm a victim. Why me? Why me? Why me? And like, you need like one of your good friends or or family just to shake you, not shake you. Okay, that should probably not the best, but
That's
kind of snap you out of it.
it.
Just like John, you're good. You're gonna be good. You have been good, and you always will be good. It's
Mhm.
gonna be okay.
Yeah,
You know,
agreed.
and
Because you have the support system where a person like, no, you're good. A person that would talk you out of going the negative way. So,
yeah,
like so that goes into one of my questions, and I was going to ask you is how important is a good support system around you, whether it's your brotherhood, whether any kind of support system, pretty much.
it, to me, it's everything.
Yeah.
To me, it is everything. I think I've in 2019, 2020,
Hmm.
like for me, that's one thing that I really realized, as my time in the military kind of waned and I'm not bouncing around the globe anymore. I'm just trying to, I don't want to use the word settle down, but yeah, transition to the next chapter. Relationships are everything. And, and not only that, but like, hate to use this term, but finding your band of brothers, you know, find those, the guys you can lean on, the guys that you can, talk about your successes, your failures. Hey, maybe what your next step is. Cause I mean, Craig, you're not going to blast your next step or the moves you're thinking about on social media and be like, hey, anyone have an idea? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to build that trusted counsel. And that's something that me personally, it's something that I've really been trying to work on.
I feel you. I agree with that 1,000%. For anyone that's listening, pretty much the importance of having a good support system whether it's your brotherhood, whether it's someone in your family, your spouse, friends, wherever the case may be. The key word is good support system. The key word is support
Yes.
system who you tell someone your problems or anything like that. They don't repeat it to anybody else. You know, they don't
Yes.
blast on social media. Oh, look what did Craig going through. Look, he sucks. So wherever the case may be, you know, they don't blast it and they support you. Also, a good support system is someone who want to tell you the truth. Like, a lot of times, like I got my brothers who told me the truth, and I didn't want to hear it. You know, it gave me like a punch in the face, like, oh, it's not what I want to hear right now. But later on in life, you're like, damn, I'm glad I got that. You know,
It's so true, though. It's so true, and you know what, like, and sometimes your people that come into your life, they won't be the people that you expect. They just kind of come what from all walks,
yeah,
and you just don't. You're just like, oh, and then somehow you kind of start, working the same circles, or you start showing up, and the biggest thing is for me being in a new area is just showing up.
yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Just showing up, and like I agree. Like, you know, it's funny how like you meet new people, and like I said earlier, they attach to your purpose.
Yes.
You had no idea this is what happened, or I had no idea. I'm like, dang, this is really cool. Just to meet new people. And a lot of times, people, like I said earlier, us as creators, anything you're trying to do in life, we get frustrated about people close to us that don't support. You know,
Yeah. Yes.
so I just definitely agree with that. Like just having that, just meeting new people and people being attached to your purpose. You know. So my next question is, how important you is like self love in your own
Oh
depth?
man. Oh man. That again, that's another important one. And the real reason is like you only get one self, and for me, for the longest time, I was just so negative, like, and what I would do is like, I don't know, say there's this big presentation at work, right, or something, and I was going in, I was preparing. Well, if I said, even if the presentation went well, and I said like one sentence or something that I didn't like how I said it, I would put my whole self worth, and be like, oh, it was
Yeah,
horrible,
I
and like you just keep demeaning myself and whatever, and it has a negative down spiral that can occur. It's just not healthy. But so to go back to your original, that's a long answer. Just go back to your original
that's
question,
the
which
point
is,
though.
yeah, it's super important.
Hmm. Yeah, it's super important. Like this example you gave. Like earlier, I was on the intro, I messed a word up, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the beginning, it like if it was me like 6 months ago, I'm like, oh, start over. Like, oh
It's
man.
so true. That's so true.
And now I'd be like, you know what? Embrace it. Forget it.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Like today in my post, I had a short little post today. I missed a word. I misspelled a word, and it was up. Or misspelled. No, I didn't have the word two. I needed the word two. Oh, and like before, it would have just been like, oh, you're never gonna be successful. You can't do this. And you know, I hate to say it. There are people out there that are less intelligent, less articulate, and just don't care and are going after their dreams, and they're doing it. And so
That part.
I've slowly started to realize that.
That's a that's a good way to look at it. Because like I said, I'm one of the ones too who I'm learning to not trip over the mistakes, the small mistakes, and a lot of
Yeah.
times, like you said, that we probably seen your post, didn't even know it. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh, I did.
I said, yeah, but the thing is, I do that too. So it's like, oh, I missed the word. Oh my goodness, why I'm gonna erase the whole thing? So I'm learning to like, let me just slow down and not trip, because and again, that is part of self love because we are so hard on ourselves.
So hard, my
We are
friend.
so
So hard.
like a person give you a compliment, you be like,
Yeah, yeah. What do you want? Like, what are you trying to get from me?
right, it's
Get
a
out of here.
question that compliment, and it's unfortunate. Someone could be like, hey, you look good today. What do you mean I look good today? What about yesterday?
Yes. Yes.
You know,
It's,
but the unfortunate part is us as people, we take on negativity faster. And someone be like, man, your shirt is ugly. You like, what? What are you saying? And that's the unfortunate part of self-love is like, anyone that's listening, you got to build yourself up every single day, because this lifetime journey never stops. No matter what happens, no matter if you got a lot of money, whatever the case may be, you have to continue to build yourself up, because this world is freaking cold. You know, you have to tell yourself how great you are every single day. You know, that's something I'm learning all the time.
and that's a very important point, about self work. Like I used to be like one of those guys, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, ex college linebacker, football player, wasn't good, but played in college,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and kind of trying to be like a man's man. And like, I didn't agree with some of the, some of the soft work, the
Okay.
emotional IQ and stuff. And so that's been a huge, huge learning curve for me. I'm nowhere near close to being halfway, but it's been a huge learning curve, and I think it's been helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mean far as like expressing yourself, or just like?
Well, it's like, okay, so for instance, like let's put it this way. So talk about a personal story, like with my girlfriend, right? So if I say, so, or Sheree, why don't you hug me anymore, right? I'm like, and she's probably like set off. Versus, hey Sheree, I really appreciate when you hug me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a different vibe. It's gonna be a different reaction.
Yeah. That's a good
So
point.
it's just little things. So that's some of the things that I've been trying to do in my relationships to bolster um, bolster my relationships. But yeah,
Yeah. I can actually relate to that. So,
yeah,
my relationship in my past, just to be transparent with you, like I
hmm
would say that first sentence, and it would be like when I say it, everybody, that was so soft. You know what I'm saying? So my fiance now, she's already taught me how to just like express yourself,
yeah,
what you want. So it doesn't make you weak that you're saying, babe, I'm feeling sick, or I need a hug. Like for example, when we first got together, I was in the grieving process.
yeah.
I lost my aunt, I lost my grandmother, and
Jeez.
yeah, like literally consecutive back to back years over cancer, right? Yeah, I hate Jesus, I hate
Man,
that, right? So, and at this point, I'm crying. We on the Jesus, what's that called? Face app, the FaceTime,
yeah. FaceTime, yeah.
and I'm getting ready to cry. I'm having like a bad moment. She's like, "Look at me." I'm like, not trying to look at the phone, look at her. No, it's okay to feel how you feel.
Yeah.
It's okay that let's not make you weak. In that moment, I realized like men expressing our emotions and saying what we need and saying how we feel does not make us weak. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it actually makes you happier
It makes you
because, like,
happier. Yeah.
yeah, because like if you keep it
Yeah.
inside, you're gonna be one pissed off dude.
Yeah.
You were just,
Yes.
and I
Walk
was for a
around
long time.
with something. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So
100%.
for anyone that's listening, any man that's listening, you expressing yourself what you need to your spouse, to your friend, or whatever the case may be, does not make you weak. Repeat, does not. The word not in all capital letters does not make you weak. It's something that I learned, it's something that John learned, and we just telling you this does not make you weak. You expressing yourself, you showing emotions. In the day, you're human. We're human. So we allowed to feel how we feel. You're allowed to feel how you feel. I think the worst part for us as people and as men, we get the stereotype of a man has got to lead, a man has got to provide, a man's got to hold a job. It's so much pressure to being a man is it being a man anyway. So why add that added pressure of you holding your emotions in? You know what I'm saying? So by the time you hold your emotions and holding all your feelings and we get ready to explode. And that's something that I went through, like I never smiled.
No, and I think for that reason, that's why the suicide rate for men is 3 times higher than women. I think we can take a large page out of the lady's book, and when you're when you're raised being raised, or at least when I was being raised as a young boy, and like the girls were taught to tell their feelings and socialize and value friendships, and kind of, whereas the guys it's more like cops and robbers, hide and seek. I'm gonna be better at sports, or I'm gonna do whatever. I'm gonna win. I gotta dominate.
Yeah.
I gotta have so.
Yeah, because as a when you're growing up, even as a little kid, you fall. What's the first thing you do with a boy? Oh, you better not cry.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. It's true. Yeah.
So you're taught those traits at an early age. So as a young adult, as a teenager, then it's like as a grown man, he's like, oh, you better not show emotion. Oh, you better not express yourself. And then that's why the suicide rates are so high. It's like we said earlier, I'm like, dang, I'm doing research. Again, short research. I'm doing research and I see most of the stuff are in the UK. I'm like, what about the United States? It's just like we need the same thing. We need more men to talk about the emotions. And a lot of times we talk about emotions and the guy like, oh man, he went through what I went through. Or he sound like me. I'm like, there's hope for me.
Wait a second. I'm not special.
Man. And it's like the more I realize, the more I talk to people, on a consistent basis, I realize like the unfortunate part is more common than we think it is.
Yes.
And the unfortunate part is there's a guy right now who going through the exact same thing, maybe not be the exact same scenario, or have that familiar feeling of feeling like it's hopeless.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues, at least some of the guys that I've talked to, is usually guys try to tend to deal with problems in isolation.
Yeah.
And that's where shame exists. When you start talking about it, as you just said, like, oh, well, this happened to you? Yeah, it happened to me. And it kind of dissolves. And I think that's important.
Hey,
Reach out.
in a second, like I know when I first started lifting weights and working out, I maxed my pain physically doing martial arts, but I didn't improve it mentally. You know what I'm saying? So you go to the gym, you get that massive pump. Oh, I'm feeling good. You're losing weight. You're feeling yourself. Get a nice haircut. It's like, but I didn't take care of the inner me.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I've been trying to learn is the different aspects of life. And so I know I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but essentially, fitness, spiritual and physical, and then relationships, career, and then your finances. So it's never just like one thing. But if one thing's out of whack, then maybe all the other things could be out of whack. You never know. But trying to create that whole person.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I feel like I learned this year, just having the time to actually reflect, and like I literally feel like I fell in love with myself again. So I had to do surgery on myself in a sense. It just happened.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, learn to see life differently, learn to build myself up every single day, learn to praise myself every single day. Like we could have relationships, we could have a wife, fiance, kids, whatever, but we have to take that self-love aspect out also.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I realized like if you don't build yourself up, I feel like it affects everything on the outer. Your outer relationships can't give everybody what you want to give because you ain't giving to yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you have to be ready. You have to be ready.
Yeah.
Do the work and be ready.
Yeah. If you can go back in time and talk to your old self, maybe 10 years ago, 1 year ago, whatever the case, whatever you decide, what would you say to your old self?
Well, I think I would say, a couple things.
Okay.
I think the first thing is patience, it's going to be okay. I think at least as I grow older, it's like, okay, some of these things are just going to work out. The other thing I would say is that just if people are negative, cut them out. And that may be hard, depending on who there are, but life is too short, and try to please this friend or this girl, that you've been going after, and they don't even want to see you or just talk to you or give you the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Just because, they're rich or they're cute or, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Do you, and then everything else will come.
That's good advice. A lot of people are chasing the wrong people and having those wrong people in your circle. It's like I dealt with that too, unfortunately, because like in the beginning,
yeah.
I remember one time, I think I shared this before, but I'm not sharing this again. This is when I was first going through depression really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend. At the time, this is like AOL Messenger, right? So it's a video thing. And I'm like in tears, like telling her, like, hey, I'm going through it. I need your help. She laughs, right? So at that moment, I had to go back and reassess who I deal with. I'm not going to deal with nobody who puts me down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to deal with that.
Yeah. No, you definitely, in the thing of it is like, I think sometimes guys put all this pressure to put all these things into like a spouse or a girlfriend or even a partner, however which way you go. Yeah. And like one person can't fulfill all of that for you. I mean, it's just unrealistic,
That's true.
And that's where, building that tribe.
Yeah. Because you put the person will put so much pressure on that person. You put them on a pedestal. You put them on a pedestal that they're never going to fulfill.
Yeah, you're just setting them up for failure, 100%.
They're for failure. So you build them up like this, but you're not building yourself up.
Right.
So that's something I learned also. Just like life lessons, pretty much learning how to love yourself and surround anyone that's listening. Surround yourself with good people. Get people who encourage you. You don't want nobody who's going to put you down in any kind of way. You want nobody that's going to question, going to make you question yourself. You're like, am I really that bad of a person? Am I not good enough? Anytime somebody make you question that you're not good enough, it's them, not you. Unless you're doing something stupid. But yeah. Be around people who encourage you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. But it takes time to find your people.
Yeah, it takes time. So it's a lifetime journey. You're going to meet people through your whole life, pretty much, good people. This was an amazing interview. I always ask my guests before they go, get up in the morning, brushing your teeth, getting yourself together, pretty much the most important part of your life, because this is setting up how your day is going to go. Always ask my guests what motivates them.
I think a lot of things. Like to me, like you want to do right. I have 2 kids, so I want to do right by my daughter and my son. And I want to exceed. I want to do good work. I want to do meaningful work.
Yeah.
I aspire to have a great relationship with my family and my girlfriend. And so, all that's kind of overwhelming if you try to do it at once, but that's what motivates me.
And that's a good way to go and start your day. To remember what motivates you, because that keeps you going every single day, even if you're taking certain things one at a time, pretty much. Again, this was amazing to interview you. It's a pleasure to meet you. We definitely want to
Craig.
in the future. This was a great interview. I pretty much threw the script out the window because it was a great interview, great energy, pretty much.
Yeah. You're an easy guy to talk to, Craig. 100%.
Appreciate
You're
that.
a pro.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Before we go, tell the audience where to find you as far as your social media, Facebook, or whatever you got going on currently.
Yeah, I guess I'm just a one-trick pony. You can find me at Men's Methodology on Instagram, and that's where really I'm just going to try to continue the conversation, examining modern masculinity.
Awesome. For anyone that's tuned in, thank you so much. Again, Walking Purpose is on every Sunday on all major platforms. Also, like I said before, you get a YouTube episode, you get a visual episode, you get to see our faces. We're smiling. This interview, we're smiling for the most part, even with a serious conversation, pretty much. Again, this is about men all around the world uplifting kings. Anyone's listening, uplift yourself every single day. Remind yourself that you are worth it. Remind yourself that you are a king. Walk with your head up high, never down. We don't walk with a head down, walk with a head up high because we walk with a purpose. Thank you so much.